and welcome to Cooking with the Dean. And today we're going to make an easy apple cake. It's so easy. It just requires a few ingredients and it's so simple you can't even mess this up. It's basically 4 large apples, 2 cups of flour, 1.5 to 2 cups of sugar, 2 teaspoons of baking soda, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. If you know me, I always add more cinnamon, half a teaspoon of salt, a couple of eggs, a half a cup of oil, and boom, you're all ready. So we're going to start this off today and make our nice holiday dessert. And I put everything together. So these are all my dry ingredients that I mentioned. The flour, the sugar, the baking soda, the salt, and the cinnamon. And so what I'm going to do is empty all this. It's all nice and mixed up. And so I have a bag of my dry ingredients. And in this recipe, it's kind of important to mix up your dry ingredients first and then add wet, and then we'll add the apples. So now I've put in all my dry ingredients. So what I need to do is I need to add in my 2 eggs. So that's easy. I got a spare in case I broke them on my transport today. So that'll be staying at Samantha's house. I'm going to put in my half a cup of oil. And that's very easy. Ooh, half a cup of oil, just dump it in your mixing pan. Put that down here. And then it is a teaspoon of vanilla. And I added too much vanilla, but that's okay. So now I'm going to mix this up, and I need a fork. I forgot my fork to mix. So I'm going to go right in here and grab Samantha's fork. She's so good. So I'm going to mix this all up. The dough is really going to be kind of icky looking, and I say that nicely because it's going to be really thick and very, very, very heavy. And that's in part why you want to mix all your dry ingredients up, because if you try to put raw apple in this flour mess, you're going to have a bigger mess. So it's just like college. You have to plan, you have to prepare, you have to lay out all your ingredients or your assignments, and then try to figure out what's the best way to attack the problem. So that's what we're doing today. And just like school, cooking takes great time management. Now, as you can see, this dough is kind of looking really thick, really heavy, pretty dense looking. So I want to just make sure all the flour's mixed up really well in here, and all the sugar. It looks kind of pretty ugly and not really appetizing, but you will find it's going to be incredibly delicious. And as you know me, so I've kind of mixed this all up. It's quite thick, it's quite dense. I love cinnamon. I have to do it. It's going to make it all so much better. Now, some people like to add walnuts to this recipe. I'm not a big nut person, even though some might say I'm a little nutty. I don't really add the nuts to this recipe. Some people add chocolate bits. If you want to add that in, I'm going to leave that for Samantha and her group, just as the apartment mates can nibble. And now the next thing I'm going to do is start peeling the essential ingredients. And so I'm going to put these into little squares, and I'm basically cutting up my apple right into my dish. It doesn't have to be pretty. They don't have to be uniform. And I just chop this up to make a very healthy, nice, apple-y dessert. So right now I've cut up 3 pretty big apples here. And I'm folding them right into my very, very, very thick dough. And it looks really kind of gross. It doesn't look pretty. But trust me, this is a very good cake. Once we get this all folded up, you will have a wonderful dessert you can make very easily, and I would say all within about 1 hour from start prep to cook. So I have mixed in my apples, and as you see, I've got a lot of apples in here, so today I've only paired up 3. The recipe can call for 4, but I have very big size apples. So I'm going to go with 3 today. And look at this dough. It's kind of ugly. It's kind of thick. It doesn't look very appealing, but it will. So my handy dandy Bundt pen, a Bundt, very easy. And I'm gonna give it a good heavy spray, and make sure I get the center, so that the food doesn't stick in here. And then in terms of lightly flouring, I have a little flour here, and I've got it in a bag so I can guide it, because I don't want too much clumpy flour in here. And so what I do is I kind of go like this, and then I'm going to shake it around, make sure it's kind of covered, we've got it into spots, and then we're going to be fine. Alright, so now I'm going to pour this messy, messy, messy looking dough into my pan. Okay, so I'm putting it in the pan and I'm making sure it's not pretty once again, it's kind of clumpy, but I'm making sure that each sort of part of the pan looks relatively even in terms of the mixture that I have here. And so I'm dumping it in. Really, it does not look pretty. And you're going to say, oh my gosh, how can this ugly looking cake be so good? But you will see in 45 minutes that we have almost a beautiful masterpiece. So I've got this in here. It's not that pretty, again. So I put this in here. See, it doesn't look very pretty. It doesn't look very pretty at all. And again, you know, I'm going for a little cinnamon because I just like it. I'm going to put just a little splitch on top. And guess what, folks? Ooh, I did it again. We are ready for the oven. And this is on 350 degrees, preheated, thanks to Samantha. And I'm going to put this crazy looking cake in the oven. And in 45 minutes, woo, we're going to have something incredibly delicious. Wow, 45 minutes has passed, and guess what? Our cake is done. I stuck a fork in it, and it came out clean, so that means all the ingredients are cooked inside. If you put your fork or your toothpick in your cake, and it still has stuff in it, that's not done yet. Give it some more time. So right now we have this delicious cake. Everybody's smelling cinnamon and apples in this apartment. Soon everybody's going to want to come and visit us. And look at this cake. Look at this cake. Okay, so really, it's going to cool a bit, but what I'm going to do is set it here to cool. In about 5 minutes, I'm going to flip it, and it's going to fall right out and land on the plate and be perfectly fine.